Joining us now is Bishop Earl Boyea of Lansing, Michigan. Thank you so much for being with us, Bishop.
Kevin, happy to be here with you.
Maybe if you could start off talking to us a little bit about the diocese.
Well, Lansing's sort of in the south central part of the state of Michigan. And of course, we always like to use our hands and say we're right about here. You know, all Michiganders do that. And diocese since 1938, and it's a great place. I really love being there.
Yeah, and you've been there since 2008.
2008, I was an auxiliary for the Archdiocese of Detroit before that.
And I know history has been an important part of your life as well. And maybe if you could talk a little bit about that. People might not know about the American Catholic Historical Association too, and I know you're a member. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about that and your membership in it.
Well, of course, my love for history really began in high school and in college. I was never a great one for memorizing dates, but I just liked kind of the movements, and I loved hearing the stories about people. And so when I was in college, at that time college seminary, I majored in history. And then when I went to Rome, I did my theological studies. And then after that, while I was in a parish, I actually did a master's degree on my own at Wayne State University in history. And then Cardinal Sciacca sent me to Washington, D.C. to Catholic U to get my doctorate in church history. And it was at that point that I really took up membership then in the Catholic Historical Association. In fact, Monsignor Trisco in Washington, on the faculty there, he's retired now, but he got me involved in this. He was one of my teachers. And he actually got me to buy a lifetime membership, which was a pretty good deal at the time. So I don't have to pay dues to that organization ever. I've got a lifetime membership. It really works out good. I don't think they do this anymore. I don't think it proves financially very helpful.
You get it in the ground floor.
That's right. That's right.
Talk about, maybe if you could, what is it about Catholic history that you enjoy or you find fascinating?
Well, I like history in general. Especially the part that really intrigues me are the origins of things, how things start. And of course, knowing the origins of things is a tough thing to get at because there aren't often a lot of documents. And so that's kind of, you got to do a lot of digging to get into that. But I like to find out how things began and why they began the way they did, why something took a turn the way it took, what caused it to engage in these kind of changes. So that's really what really intrigues me most about history is to find out the origins and the changes and why.
In terms of perspective from Catholics, how important is it to sort of have a little bit of a historical background on faith and where the faith originated?
Well, obviously, we are a historic religion in the sense that the Son of God actually took on our flesh in a given time, in a given place, and lived, died, and rose from the dead in that place and time. We are not a religion that's divorced from history. We take history seriously, and then of course the development of the church after that. So history is very, very important for Christianity and for the Catholic faith as well.
Any part of the historical time frame in Catholic history that you find more interesting or fascinating?
I love the medieval. One of my favorite characters is Charlemagne, around 800 AD. I love that time period because again, I find that there was a gelling taking place in the nature of the church at that time period. And so I find that fascinating, that all worked. The influence, I suppose partly being of French background, the influence of the French on the development of the church at that time.
And looking forward in terms of people's faith and knowing, I mean, having perspective, a historical background too, you can sort of put yourself in the time frame and think of right now as being someone's history further on down the line and maybe sort of think of things that might be of historical significance now.
Monsignor Ellis used to tell us, one of my teachers at Catholic University, he said, to be a historian, you really have to love reading other people's mail. And that's exactly, I mean, you're reading documents. And so I'm very conscious of when I'm doing things, I said, yep, somebody, not that anything I'm doing is that important, but who knows? I mean, maybe one document out of my whole Episcopal ministry will be important for something, and somebody might read that. So that intrigues me.
And maybe to have historical associations like this, how important is it to sort of keep the history alive?
When I was teaching at the seminary, of course, I was a much more active member of the Catholic Historical Association, and I would go to their regular meetings. In fact, I gave a couple presentations. I loved listening, especially to the younger scholars. It was a great proving ground for them. Kind of test their teaching ability, some of their research, to get some pointers, maybe from the old dogs who were around for a long time, and that was really an engaging thing for me. Now, I especially also love reading the journal. The articles are usually pretty good, but one of the things I really enjoy are the book reviews at the end of the journal, just to see where scholarship is, what's going on. I'm not going to read all those books. I'm not going to buy them. That's impossible. But to get a summary of kind of what's going on in this field. I presume most people do the same thing in their own areas of scholarship.
Well, we thank you, Bishop, for being with us and talking a little bit about Catholic history. Thank you so much for being with us.
It's my pleasure, Kevin. Thank you.